paid my money, went to the district, got public information. So I got some information for you. I do have a copy of a Rosamond News from November 12, 2014. Olaf, got your picture on right on here. That you accused the Community Service District of, and this is nothing personal, business. And I want to see if this makes business sense to you guys. You're all in business. It says here that they revealed that they paid the attorney $7,400 in a month. It also went on to say that they tried to give him a contract for 32 months for $236,000. So I went and got my information right here from 2/28 to 3/30. You guys have paid this attorney $23,914. A little bit more than $7,000, right? The next month, from 3/26 to 4/25, $28,708. Just those 2 months, $52,622. Let me put that into Gibson's rates here. Gibson at $7,400 or whatever would be $84,000 for a whole year. At her average, these 2 months, $26,000 a month, that's $312,000. A whole lot more than your newspaper ad here that says, and I call it an ad because this is an ad, it's not information that's true. $236,000 for 30 months, or 32-month contract, 2.5 years. So does that make business sense to you guys? You're in business, Ed. Does that make business sense? I'm in business. I know to me it doesn't make business sense. Olaf, you're in business. Does that make business sense? I've asked you guys have made allegations that this Community Service District was doing all kinds of stuff. I haven't got any answers yet. You've been in here for 5 months as a board. It never has got on the agenda. I haven't got an answer. And yet we're spending this much money. We have a general manager that we pay good money to manage this place. You guys are not managers. You're decision makers. You don't go out and do any business. This man does the business. Brings information to you. You guys make decisions. That's it. Water usage is going to go down. So I, being in business, know that guess what? There's not going to be any money to pay employees. So I'm also asking that the board, starting with you guys, because from what I understand, the district is already down to the minimum of employees. So you guys need to start right here by reducing these meetings to 1 time a month before you spend all of our money and we don't have water or a community service district work for us. Thank you.
My name is Tom Wardlaw, and I removed my lawn today. But there's different information about whether or not people that do this will get any assistance. We've heard from this organization that unless the state provides something, or unless we have more money, we can't do it here through RCSD. We did have a lady stand up and say that she got $1 per square foot, AVAC rebate. So I called AVAC, and the gentleman there said they're not in a position to do this directly, so it's up to RCSD. Anyway, I just don't need an answer to that, but I would like to know if you do a rebate, if because I did this today, and you put it in effect next week, that I would or would not get the credit for that. I mean, the job is done anyway. So another point is I have a drip system, as I mentioned last time, which uses much less water than lawn watering. Okay, the lawn is gone, that's my contribution, but I have a lot of plants with a drip system. And so I'd like to know whether I'm gonna be judged to the lawn figures, which are 2 days, 25 minutes each day. Does that apply to me if I have a drip system? You don't have to answer it now, but I need that answer at some point. And then finally, 15 to 20%, whatever it is that the homeowners are gonna have to conform to. The question I have is, okay, mechanically, how do we manage that? What we'll need is something from RCSD. You provide us with bills and that kind of data that says, here is your baseline. I know that it's been defined as 2013 or 2014 or whatever, but it seems to me that each property owner should have a number from RCSD that says, you're going to be judged back to that date, and give us that date and give us that amount of money. So, or I should say, not the money, but the gallons per day, per person. So we need that baseline, number one, and I think everybody should get that from RCSD as the first service. Secondly, as we move along month by month by month, then at some point, as a homeowner, we want to know whether changing our washing machine or taking the lawn out or whatever, how we're doing. So I think those are two key numbers that every homeowner will need to know, which is, what's my starting point? How many gallons am I going to be using based on what I was using previously? And secondly, how am I doing? So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. But Robert Kretco, I got my escrow recalculation for this year coming. And because the water or the sewer bill was put on the taxes, instead of being $40, now my payment is going up by $84 because they need that cushion. So my payments will be $84 more every month until they recalculate the escrow, and I'll still have to pay the $40 to the sewer bill, to the water bill for the sewer. Hey, what the heck? That's for the record. It's for the record. The other thing is about the water business there. It says 25 minutes. Back in 2013, I was watering probably with 30 sprinkler heads around the yard. And I shut down 2 sets of them, so now I'm down to 15 sprinkler heads. Well, I've shut those off too. So now I just water with a hose. And I run one hose 25 minutes. But that doesn't seem to me to use as much water as I was using when I was running 15 sprinkler heads for 5 or 10 minutes. You gotta figure time-wise and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm not ready to take my yard out yet. So I'll start with the hose for a while, and I'll go with the 25 minutes. But I should be able to use more than 25 minutes, because you can't get that much water out of a hose, one hose in 25 minutes.
I just need to make one comment.
I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to address you for 5 minutes. My comments are in relationship to an article that was in Mojave Desert News, April 17th, Rosamond Community Service District to fund lighting zones. I guess I'm a good follow-up speaker to that last gentleman. My comments specifically are for Mr. Landsgaard and McKay, Shingledecker, did I pronounce that correct? I hope so. And Mr. Wallis. I wasn't angry reading this article. At first I thought it was coming out of Korea, China, or a petty dictatorship in South America. But no, it's coming out of our own water board. For you gentlemen, and I quote this directly, to use the justification for overturning a vote that you felt public really didn't understand the consequences of the vote. Well, I want to tell you, in person, I voted no. Shut the lights off. And I am really insulted that you think we're not educated enough or too stupid to understand the consequences of our vote. And you owe every single resident in the 16 zones who voted no an apology. Furthermore, to ignore the vote is morally, ethically, and I believe legally wrong. And I think you're going to open yourself up to some legal action. The one gentleman I would like to commend, I understand the one no vote was by Director Glennan. He did state that the $50,000 was to be paid back from the general fund. I would like to throw a comment out for your consideration on that. I don't think you can use the general fund. I think it would be illegal to do so. The people who decided to vote no cast their vote. For you now to decide to turn the lights back on against their vote, a legally binding vote, you do so at your own discretion. When they casted that no vote as I did, as far as I'm concerned, they ended their financial responsibility for those lights. So you are going to have to get creative and figure out a way to come up with that money and repay it back. We're not. Also, the whole issue of having to re-vote, well, you guys keep making bad decisions and digging yourself in deeper by the minute. So I'm just going to go on that one light. In closing, I would like to thank Mr. Landsgaard and the other 3 board members for clarifying the new operating rules we're now operating here in regards to votes, and especially for setting the new legal precedent and justification that the public doesn't understand the consequences of their vote. To that end, I would submit a motion that the newly appointed board members' elections be nullified and void, and the elections reheld for their positions.
Yes.
If that's all it takes, you gentlemen need to go. You are all dangerous and need to be watched closely. I will be watching.
I just wanted to talk about a couple subjects tonight. One being the water reduction. Personally, I don't have a lawn or much landscaping at my house, so there's nothing there I could cut back on. It's just me and my wife. We don't have a bunch of kids or anything that are taking showers all the time, so there's not a lot we can cut back there with showers. It's just basically 2 of us, dishes, laundry, and we've got a dog and a tortoise for as far as animals. So my question with that is, if we're already at basically a minimum or minimal use of water, are we still going to be held to that same percentage reduction? Or is that just an aggregate that they're looking for overall in the community? The 2 other subjects I'd like to speak on tonight is, I'd just like to remind everybody that we do have the Rosamond Community Watch cleanup day on Saturday. We are going to be starting, I believe, at 8 o'clock, and we're going to be working on Sierra Highway again this month. And the last thing is, next Thursday on the 21st, the Rosamond Chamber of Commerce is having our election for the Board of Directors. So if you are a chamber member or you'd like to get involved in the chamber, it's a great time to get involved and help with some change here at the local community with the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
18 and Proposition 26 that was sponsored by the CSBA. The training was quite informative. They covered a lot of your information about water and sewer rate charges. It covered tiered water rates, justifications for it, and different things with Prop 26, what was considered a tax and a fee. Depending on how it's applied and where it's applied, a tax is a fee. And very good training. Second thing we had is the ABAC meeting last night that I attended. Nothing new there. I was filling in for Director McKay, he had other appointments. Pretty much everything was just general business that they took care of. Other than that, that's all I have.
Briefly, I attended the school board meeting on May 6th. It's good to hear that, as I met with the contractor, he came to that meeting, introduced himself. It broke ground that Friday on the new district offices over there at I guess, the extended Roseland High School campus, Hamilton campus site. The other thing that was good to hear is that while they're building the Roseland Elementary School, and reform the Roseland Elementary School is a customer of ours, they will not be watering those fields, but instead be watering their new fields. So there'll be no extra water. Actually, it should be a little bit less water used on the West Park Elementary School's new field. That was good to hear because I was a little concerned about that. The day before, I was able to hear Congressman Kevin McCarthy speak. And one thing I took away from that hopefully we all can, is that we need to start thinking about that bright city on the hill, be a visionary rather than someone that's saying we're wallowing in drought and other things and can't do anything. I think he didn't talk about drought, but my point was that a lot of what we're hearing these days is how we can't do anything because of the drought, and we need to be more proactive, and we need to be more visionary about what about moving forward rather than saying that our best days are behind us and we can't do things. So.
Mr. Glennan here tonight. I have a question for our mayor. The cash for turf that we heard about here tonight, have we got any new information on that?
Not from AVAC, Lizette was to present that, and I haven't got an update from her. However, as Mr. Wardlaw had mentioned, we made note of his name, because if he's trying, the intent of all of that is to get people to do that, should we get a program. I'm certain that we would work that out with him. We'd have to have some particulars, however, on, or some features before and after if possible, and so we can assess it properly. But I think it's doable. But the governor, and I'm not sure the money has yet worked its way out, but there's supposed to be money available for those programs. And I'll give a further report in a moment.
Hello, my name is Katie Dahl. I'm a regional affairs representative with the Association of California Water Agencies. So thank you for allowing me some time on your agenda, and I'm here to basically introduce myself to you because I am your regional affairs rep at Aqua. Your district is located in Aqua's Region 7, and so there are 2 region reps at Aqua, and we split the state in half, and so I'm assigned to be your liaison at Aqua. And what that means is I'm your contact there. So if you ever have any questions about your membership at Aqua, any of our programs, or even any issues that you're working on at a district level, and you want to contact Aqua to find out if we have any resources for you or any information that might be able to be helpful, contact me. And I like to tell members up front, I'm not the policy expert, but we do have some fantastic policy staff on hand in our legislative and regulatory departments. So, if you don't know who to go to, I encourage you to contact me first. Whatever I can't answer, my job is to go hunt down the answer for you or put you in contact with the right person to be the most help for whatever issue or question that you might have. And so I wanted to go over a little bit of our regional structure. In your folders of information, there is a region map, and it shows how we've divided the state into 10 regions. And you'll see Region 7 there, which is your region. And each of those 10 regions has a region board representing their region. And the chair and vice chair of each of those region boards sits on Aqua's board of directors. And the Region 7 board is there to represent your views at Aqua. So if there's, of course, you can always contact me if you have questions about anything, but I have your Region 7 board member contact information in your folders also. And I encourage you to contact them, introduce yourself. If there's ever any issues that you would like your representatives on the Aqua board to bring to the state level, that's what they're there for. So make sure you contact them, and your region reps would be Bill Talby and David Bixler. Their contact information is in that packet of information also. And I just wanted to bring your attention to this handout that's in your packet too. And we call this our 8 ways to maximize your membership at Aqua. And if you aren't currently very active in Aqua, they give you quick and easy ways to make sure you're maximizing your membership there. Aqua has several committees, and we encourage you to get involved at the committee level because that's how you get the most out of your membership, being there at the table, making sure that your district's concerns and your region's concerns are being heard in the conversation and are represented in that statewide conversation. We have our outreach program housed on our website. Hopefully you get our emails. We send out advisories and alerts on issues all the time. And so if you're not getting our emails, visit www.aqua.com and make sure you're signed up for our outreach network, and that way you can get those advisories and alerts which come out, breaking news as it happens, keeps you informed on what's going on. And we encourage you to use Aqua to build your network locally and throughout the state. Aqua hosts a variety of events, large and small, all throughout the state, all throughout the year. Last week we just wrapped up Aqua's spring conference in Sacramento. And our fall conference is going to be in Indian Wells, and that's the first week of December. We also host regional events, which are smaller in scale and size, and those happen all throughout the year, all throughout the state. Regions 6 and 7 traditionally come together to host an event in the fall, which is their San Joaquin Valley Water Forum, and we are currently holding October 16th to host that event in Visalia right now. And so as those program details develop, we'll make sure to send out emails, make sure that you're informed on what's going on, and it'll also be available on our website. And usually this event, it gets a big turnout from your local officials in the Capitol, and they're there so you can, ask them questions, and they're letting you know what's going on legislatively, what it looks like in the Capitol, and if you have questions, we always leave a lot of time for Q&A at the end so you can have that direct dialogue with your representatives. Let's see, on our website, if you haven't been to our website, I encourage you to go visit it and make sure you have your member login. We house a lot of information that is for members only on our website. And we also update the main page of our water news feed all the time as information is happening. And so you can always go to our website and see what's happening that day currently in the water news of California. We're also very active on social networks. If you have a Facebook account or a Twitter account, we encourage you to friend us or to follow us. And it's another way that we're pushing out information to our members as we get it. We also have communication toolkits available on our website. Again, it's for members only. And what these toolkits are ways for our member agencies to communicate the issues of today to your customers, and it's meant to save you time and to save you money. These toolkits include FAQs, sample articles, graphics, infographics, and they're produced in a way that you can put your district name and logo on it and quickly send out information to your customers to make sure they are informed with the latest information.
And I have to say that the many classes and presentations that were held were tremendous. As you would expect, Aqua is going to talk about water, and water was the big topic in regard to the drought, the challenges in rate setting, maintaining fiscal stability in times of drought, and quite frankly the other reserves, water rates and tiers, and the lessons learned from recent cases, more specifically the Capistrano case that just finalized. The case came back last week, in fact, while we were in Sacramento. So it was fresh and a good discussion in regard to that. And we've been hit hard due to the present budget or the water cutbacks and changes in the charges within the operations of the district, how we allocate revenues in our budget. Everything is going to affect how our water budget will come out, how the sewer budget will come out, and the various budgets within the district. But the staff has been working feverishly to take a microscopic look at everything that we can from each line item. Brad has been a taskmaster at keeping our attention and keeping us focused on what we needed to do. Staff has spent 5 days on the budget
restructuring various areas and to give us a better understanding, a quicker recall. There was some clarification requested by the county. And I think possibly before, not for action right now, but for edification, we will have to take action, possibly direction. They want clarification basically of the give back of the park.
You got a letter just before the meeting, you got one else.
Requesting that there be clarification if we in fact want to give up the CSA monies at the park. They contend basically that giving up the park and the agreement is not giving up the land because we own it. You know, it was quick claim deeded to us. And if we give up the CSA, what we're doing in effect is giving up the agreement and losing the money, but we're keeping the land. So, well,
Then we can sell it.
what if, well, you know,
They're not gonna do that. That's the way they're playing games with us, and the fact is, the quick lane goes back to them, and think of it as a contract.
pardon?
Maybe we need to take a hard look at that contract and tell them, look, the contract says what it says. You're supposed to take the park back. We really have no ability to sell it or do whatever we want to do.
And that's the direction I'm gonna need for your board, in regard to, that issue on how to handle that.
Needs to be an agenda item.
Right.
Well,
We can't take that action tonight.
No,
Is it something we give direction to the attorney and the manager to talk about?
You can't reach a consensus about the item
no.
without an agenda.
That's why I said, I just want to report that we will be addressing that at the next meeting.
It seems to me Governor Brown has one idea. You will do 28% mandate managed reduction. And then you got the state water Sigma saying, well, actually no, this is our rules and you can't tell people what they're going to have to do because they're not policemen. And what we say is what we're suggesting to people, but we're not the ones saying 28% reduction. Is there a conflict there, or who is in charge?
The governor, basically, his comments were there is a 25% mandate cutback aggregate throughout the state. Then the Department of Water Resources issued the various tiers that, based on per capita water use, you would fall into a percentage reduction. We, rosamond, falls into a 28% reduction. That's how that works out.
There was, I had some time to think about what's been said, and I don't know what this thing is, I wrote it down. Speaking for the audience, and for you, but I'd like just to get a little more information, because as you know, I'd like to say, dear Governor Brown, thank you for your interest in how we in Rosamond manage water. As you know, California law requires we be reasonable with its use and apply it where it's needed. California law also prefers substance over form. For this reason, we first ask you to look at our actions these past 3 years. First, we have banked 3,500 acre-feet of water, correct me if I'm wrong on those numbers, enough to supply our residents with water for an entire year. Second, we've invested in ownership of a water bank just 7 miles from our district. Our residents pay $250,000 every 3 months as required by our purchasing agreement. Again, correct me if I'm wrong on that. Third, in 2014, we achieved the 2020 reduction in use of water goals. In these past 2 years of drought, our water table has risen 2 feet at our most active wellhead. Our United States Constitution contains a Bill of Rights and additional amendments. Included in them are the right to vote, to be treated equally, and the right to be paid before our property is taken from us. In 2014, the California legislature passed a law for the first time that attempts to take control over our groundwater. Respectfully, the 2014 law and state mandates violate each of the rights listed above. We ask you to help us. Ask the legislature to split the Lawton Water Control Board, which runs from Oregon, Nevada, over down into Los Angeles County, so that there's a new accessible board from Inyo Kern County line south. Ask the current Lawton board why our 2000 application for a permit to use our tertiary water has been handed to an intern, and has yet to be approved, even though we have had pipe in place for 20 years. We now treat the water, place it in a pond, and let it evaporate. Allow the Antelope Valley and Indian Wells Valley people to form a consortium that permits us to build a desalination plant on the coast next to Los Angeles, so that we can trade this water for the water that runs from eastern Sierra streams that feed Model Lake, among others, through our valleys each year. Ask the Attorney General to recognize the 10,000 Delta smelt that are produced in the UC Davis hatchery, and request the federal government remove it from the endangered species list. Do not let saltwater encroachment be an excuse for fallowing millions of acres of land while sending fresh water to the sea. And cut the red tape for building desalination plants, water treatment plants, and gray water initiatives. We know you work hard on the principles of reasonable and necessary use of our water. Prior to our board passing drastic resolutions that you and the State Water Resources Control Board have demanded, we respectfully request you respond to this letter, or your response. We have groundwater that's increasing. We've stored a year's supply of water. We're not in a state of emergency, I guess, as far as our and the question is, why are we panicking? Why are we all of a sudden saying we have to do all these drastic things, tell people how long a shower to take, or recommend they take? I noticed that the state water said we're going to these are recommended changes, and Brown saying these are mandated changes. Well, bottom line is, I think we have time to engage in dialogue with them, do we not? And would this not be a good way to do that? And I would like to see a letter. I can certainly write a letter by myself as an individual person, but I would like to see this implementing stage 3 ordinance put over until we get a response from the governor and the state and Sigma, because I didn't realize that they were the other major player, and ask them, what about this? What about the United States Constitution and the fact that we are the owners of the water? Governor Brown was elected to the Rosamond Community Service District Board of Directors. The vital list for it. Is the state going to take over all water boards? If he is, if they are they going to pay the rate holders? How is it they justify suspending the Constitution, if you will, in these times? There's really no justification in our district, and that's. If there is no justification for them suspending the Constitution in our district and coming up with emergency measures for places that are in an emergency situation, why are we going with this one-size-fits-all thing? And that's not something I'd like to have them answer. I don't know if that's something you can ask Governor Brown directly when you see him next week, but certainly there's a lot of ideas there. Some of them are a little more broader than others. But the main idea is that, again, we'll stick to the concepts of reasonable, necessary use of water, and whether or not we manage it correctly. Why are we being penalized when we've already cut back? We've already met our 2020 levels, or within 1% of meeting our 2020 levels. Why should we be panicking when we've done the right thing, more than the right thing, for the last 3 years and conserving? And now they're saying we got to cut back more. That really doesn't speak to us. What does speak to us is where water levels are rising. That indicates in a groundwater area district like ours, we're not in a state of emergency, and to throw an emergency blanket over us, I think is unconstitutional and improper. And if the policymakers need to take another look at that. According to the lady from Aqua, that's the very first time they implemented regulations since just this last week.
Executive order to demand that this occur. And we're going to have regulatory agencies monitoring our water use on a monthly basis. And we have been told that if we don't comply, we are going to get fined $10,000. I think it might be more prudent, if we want to fight the battle, not to fight the battle because we're not doing what they said, but we're doing what they said, and fight the battle from a position that says, look, we're going to do this, but we don't agree with it, so we don't incur those fines. Because if we start backsliding and not implementing this, and they give us only 270 days to comply like the regulations say, I'm afraid we're not going to make it. So what we need to do is we need to start cutting back as of the time that they order us or ordered it to occur. So the sooner that we enact the regulations, I think the sooner we can start down the road of trying to conserve at the same time if you want to fight the battle. That way we're not subject to penalties if we do it in defiance. That's my plan.
Analogize it to paying your taxes while simultaneously challenging the validity of the tax. You have to pay the tax, but you can challenge it in a separate action. I would hate to see this district incur substantial liability for failing to comply with this if it is upheld as proper. But I see no reason why we shouldn't consider challenging it or challenging it either legislatively or talking with the governor, seeing what we can do to get it changed. But I do not want to see you face that liability, which could be tremendous. And that would be placed on obviously on all of the district's constituents. I urge you to take the steps to comply with the regulations and challenge them so.
Item 2, lawns and or ground cover may be watered and landscaping may be irrigated, including construction meter irrigation, only during the following designated hours and designated days. A, lawn and or ground cover may be watered and landscaping may be irrigated for properties with odd number street addresses, parks, and public right-of-ways, only on Saturday and Wednesday between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. And we go down and then we'll get to the even days. The problem that I have is Saturday at 12 o'clock midnight, 1 minute after midnight, it becomes Sunday, which is not allowed per your resolution to be watered on. The way this is written, it needs to be changed.
And if you watered at 6 a.m. in the morning on Saturday and after 6 p.m. on Saturday,
That's not what this says.
but if those are within those timelines on that same day.
Who came up with the timelines? Did they come up
This was done before my time.
Because 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is a terrible time for water. It should be 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. for you to 12 hours a lot.
Well, if you read it a little bit further, it's a 6 o'clock hour in winter, 8 o'clock hour in the summer. It reverts just a couple hours, but the whole rationale, I gave you an at a glance, and basically I started to write in there, if you began your watering at 6 p.m. on Saturday and you went to 6 a.m., you were in compliance because you began it on the day that it was started and you went that way. But I thought, no, that's unreasonable because it says you have to water on Saturday. So you water before 6 a.m. in the morning and you water after 6 p.m. And that's what this states. The fact that it says 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. doesn't mean you have to do it in succession.
That's the way it's written, okay? Back here, it says, only during the following designated hours and designated days. It's designated here as being watered on Saturdays and Wednesdays. So if you're watering at 1 minute after midnight on Sunday morning, you're not watering on a designated day. You're in violation of this resolution.
Who's going to catch it?
Good question.
I just, that was what I was waiting up here to talk about was is that, I mean, we don't have any enforcement as it is now. You're talking about something that takes enforcement. Who's going to enforce it? You're not enforcing too. I mean,
They are going to find you.
well, they're
If
gonna
it
find
came
us.
to a point of They're going to find enforcement you, yes, and it got challenged in a court, and they said they were watering on Sunday, it's against the resolution, even though the way you're explaining it says it's okay. So what we need to do to ensure we do is define it.
No, I did not say it was okay. I said the rationale was okay.
Okay.
But I clarified it, you have to water on one day. That's why I did that. So there would not be that straddling of 2 days.
The way it's read here, for most people that read it, says on Saturday only they can walk.
Between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.
Right.
Or
Or
not
6
between
p.m.
Six.
and 6 a.m.
Well, again, why is it?
If you changed it from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I have no problem.
It would work.
Yes.
If you
And
define
if there's a motion on the resolution, we could make, if you would do that and add that correction, I think you're right, it would make clearer sense of this ordinance.
No watering from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's what it would have to say.
No, I don't know about that.
That's what they said they're gonna find the district and the people.
Oh, that's what they said. I guess the state water resource, what I saw in their article says is we have no way of telling districts how to go about policing their constituents. I think that was clear in the article. But the other point is, you know, who's gonna decide and how it's gonna be equitable, I guess.
And that 35 minutes, that don't apply to parks, does it, Steve?
Pardon me?
Yeah.
The time doesn't apply like the Bend Down.
Yes, it does.
They can only water a total of 35 minutes?
Well, the ordinance is the ordinance, and it says 25 minutes.
So if it's a.
They're gonna have to set theirs, and they're gonna have to water during the same time as everybody else.
For only 25 minutes for the whole park?
All of our timers are being reconfigured. This one right here, I ordered it turned off because it's kind of hard to enforce a watering ordinance when you got a green lawn sitting right out front. And everybody walks in here day in and day out for meetings and sees a green lawn and theirs is dead, like mine. And
Well, can you
so-
maintain it on 25%? Maybe that'd be a good way of.
Pardon me?
On 25 minutes, can we maintain the green on 25 minutes?
Probably.
This time of year, if it rains on Thursday and Friday, sure,
But you know what? Most of the stuff is perception. Now, you guys are the ones that are gonna get beat up because you have a green lawn out there. It's a small lawn, and 25 minutes would probably keep it green, but
keep it green. I don't plan on going to Toronto just because the governor says it's going to Toronto. Yeah, that's my take on it.
so we'll follow.
You've been to Toronto, so you know
We'll
what I'm
follow,
talking about.
yeah.
To be brown.
Pardon me?
The West Park Elementary School will have to be brown too, if they can only work a lot more, 25 minutes on that.
Here's fair.
Well, what, you know, I had, and I mentioned it, Tim, I had the conversation with the superintendent in regard to the turf and my concern. And what they're doing, as you rightly pointed out earlier, is they're turning off the water at the elementary school. And they will have that water off for a couple of years. So if they start the turf over here, the watering that will go on that turf will be a reduction of water that they normally use at the construction site. So technically speaking, if I have that type of information, we can look at their water balance and make sure that they're keeping theirs down.
And we're not going to tell them to let the plants die.
I'm not in a position to do that because they're cutting more water. Where they use that water is as important as, you know, they're not a household, aggregate spread across logistically 4, 5, 6 miles. So it's a little bit more difficult for them to
Let me
meet
ask the
that.
question this way. Whose water are they using, our water or their own well water?
All depends on where they're at. If it's a high school, it's their water. If it's at the
Out
other
here,
sites,
where
it's
we're
ours.
talking about,
Pardon?
where we're talking about moving it out.
It's ours.
Okay, then they have to comply with the 25 or 28% reduction.
Now, it's a 28% reduction aggregate. Because they will cut their water use over here. So when I look at their bill, their aggregate bill will drop 28% is what we expect.
One of the things that we need to do then is we need to put it out to the public that it's a 28% aggregate across the district. It's not for everybody then to drop it 28%.
No, that's not what I said. They have various sites. Let's just say that they're using 100 gallons of water today. If they turn off water there, that's 10 gallons, and they only use 7 over here, they've taken a 30% reduction. So actually, they're meeting the intent of cutting back because they're cutting back that use. That's what I mean by the aggregate for them, because they have one account.
Okay, but then again, you can look at it this way here. They have cut off 10 over here, and they're not going to go back watering that, and therefore, if they're not using it, it doesn't bring the total over to here and show we got a reduction.
We know that they cut it off.
We understand that, but what I'm saying to you is, okay, what was your numbers that they were using over here that they cut?
You know, I don't have real numbers.
Okay.
So, but if they're using 10 over there right now and they cut that 10, or let's say they're using 30 over there and they cut 10 of it. Now, that 10 that they cut, they'll shift to another location in their portfolio.
They didn't cut it.
No, they didn't cut it, but they cut 28% because they moved 7 acre feet, not 10.
All they did was move where they're going to put the water.
Absolutely.
There's no cut.
They don't have to cut. You tell me what you want done, and I'll do it. Because we go back and forth on this, and really, if they cut 20...
I want a resolution that the people can read and understand what it is that we're telling them they can do.
This one does, except for that, I think you're right on that issue. And if there's a motion on that, I think the comment that was made just a moment ago, that it would be better instead of putting AM and PM and switching that, is just be specific. You can water on a particular day, no watering between these times, period. So they don't have to figure it out. There's just no watering here, you can water any other time.
Okay. If we're going to say that they can water on a specific day, let's just take a Saturday, okay, you can water on Saturday. Are we going to tell them between certain hours that they can't water on that day?
Yep.
Yeah, 6 to 6.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m. you cannot water.
That's it. Done.
And that will do it. So,
On the page, under the item numbered C2, have it read, lawns and or ground cover may be watered and landscaping may be irrigated, including construction meter irrigation, only between the hours of 6 o'clock p.m. and 6 o'clock a.m. on the following designated days. And then, on the next page, under item A, lawns and or ground cover may be watered and landscaping may be irrigated for properties with odd numbered street addresses, parks, and public right-of-ways only on Saturdays and Wednesdays, semicolon. B, lawns and or ground cover may be watered and landscaping may be irrigated for properties with even numbered street addresses only on Sundays and Thursdays, semicolon. C, watering lawns and or ground cover and irrigating landscaping is prohibited on Mondays and Fridays, period. That is my suggestion. You may take it or leave it.
can I ask a point of clarification on when they can be watered? That time?
So the time was in the beginning, sorry, I stated the time of between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. at the heading of the section. So on the preceding page, lawns and ground cover may be watered and landscaping may be irrigated, including construction meter irrigation, only between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 o'clock a.m. on the following designated days.
That's exactly what Mr. McKay said, but it don't work. It's from one day to the next day. You can only water on one day. So you gotta say from, you cannot water.
As a comment. I think that needs to be in here, telling them that on the bill, we're going to post the 2013 or 2014, whatever the resolution calls for, and what the reduction is each month.
Well, that's probably gonna take another employee, because what you have is over 5,000 accounts that you're going to have to be specifically looking at each account and calculating that every month. We don't really have the means to do that.
How many computers do you have?
Pardon me?
How many computers do you have?
We have a lot of computers.
Check that our software program would do that for you.
I mean, we get our electric bills, and I guess that's where everybody gets electric bills. It says, this is how much you used last year, this is how much you're using this year. And in that particular month, that's kind of.
But it's not the point of being able to tell them what they're using, what they did, what they cut back from month to month, and how much they can look at that on their bills. You use 3 units, 10 units, 15 units, and if you start cutting back, you can see that from month to month.
But you can't see that compared to the year before, I guess what I'm saying.
That's true.
Your software program may have the capability to show it's a standard database program, so it's going to have the capability
Yes, but
to
the
do
problem
comparison.
is it can. But we don't have those types of meters in every one of the houses in the district.
How many meters?
They're going through.
I have a few questions about the regulations when it pertains to sprinklers. His yard that he has set up is set up on zones, different zones. The zones cannot run all at once. If the zones run all at once, the pressure drops and he doesn't get the spray pattern that he needs to. So his sprinklers are set up on different zones. He has 3 separate zones, and each zone runs for 6 minutes for a total of 18 minutes for the system. Now, that's on a 3-day schedule. Going to a 2-day schedule, he's going to have to up the time so that he can be able to maintain the water that goes onto the grass in order to keep the lawn green, because he spent thousands upon thousands of dollars to put this lawn in. Now, 25 minutes is all that he's allowed to water. Is that for the total system, or, I mean, is he gonna, because that'd be 5 minutes, but he doesn't think that's gonna be enough for each zone to maintain this grass. So,
25 minutes.
and it doesn't matter. Even if the systems overlap or anything like that, I mean.
Now, the way it's written, it's 25 minutes total
Total time.
And split your watering times if you have 3 zones that are coming on.
Okay, now on these smart meters, the secondary question that is on smart meters, it records how many gallons are flowing out at that specific time from one time to the next. Okay, so there's no way to differentiate between the washing machine going and coming on an off cycle and him jumping in the shower right as soon as it kicks in. And all of a sudden now he's 30 minutes of a lot of water going out. Is he?
What will happen on the 25-minute issue is it'll be visual. If we see it, if it's reported that you're running 30 to 2 hours watering all the time, we're going to go by and we're going to look at it.
Okay.
But if it's a water use issue, if you're flagged as a big water user, we're going to look at it.
Right, well, he's not. He's already reduced his water usage
And that's how we'll manage that.
more than.
We
what
know
the
that
rest of
70% of your water use is going to be outside.
Gotcha. Okay, so now the secondary, next question I have about this is that obviously you guys are going to start losing money. I mean, and we're talking lots of money, because 28% reduction in water usage is going to be like an 85% reduction in revenue. So on that notion, how much of everybody's water bill is going to go up? Now, I know you have it in here that you're looking for a water and sewer fee rate study. That's obviously looking to try to raise the rates on people. Now, is the plan to keep it in a tier system or in a flat rate system? Because that was discussed at the last meeting. You know, and I mean, if we have to cut 28% as a community, and everybody's bill goes up by 60%, I mean, you're going to have a lot of people out here with pitchforks and torches. I mean, that's just the way it's going to be. And we'll let that go for a minute. The enforcement, as I mentioned earlier, but you've already spoke about how you're going to do that with the smart meters, and obviously now apparently you're going to have people drive around and then neighbor on neighbor reporting and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. We get most of our water here from the ground. We don't get it from AVEC, correct? Okay, so is it the same water here that I drink out on 60th Street?
In the same basin, yes.
Okay, so then I get a notice in my water bill saying that my chromium level and my arsenic level is extremely high. So is that the same thing here? So this water's not worth drinking either. Okay. And then on that, how soon do you guys plan on taking over the community wells? Because
Let me clarify that a moment. The regulations on the chromium have just changed.
Okay.
I don't know where you're.
I just got it in the mail. I haven't seen, but I noticed my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, the chromium's jumped up." So I don't.
And we're dealing with that issue.
Okay.
One day it's at 50, the federal level's at 100. And then the next day we're in violation because we have 13 parts, not 10 or less.
Right.
So
Well, I know my arsenic at the last one I saw was like 13, 14.
Right, and it's 10 also, and it used to be at 50, and it decided to just arbitrarily move it down. So what I'm saying is what we're doing right now is attempting to address the chromium issue. We're working with the state right now. We have a well site. We're going to drill a test well and see if we can't do that, tie it into the system. And our system will be good. I don't know if you're on our system.
25 minutes of total watering. In my case, I've got my lawn set up in a lot of different zones, and it seems like that penalizes me because I've got 6 zones in the front yard, 6 zones in the backyard. You do the math, that means I can only water at most maybe about 2 minutes and some change for each zone, which is completely inadequate, and because I'm only watering small sections at a time. Is there going to be any provision in these rules to allow that in terms of measuring me for my usage rather than the duration of time I'm actually watering in separate zones?
Probably not. I have 18 zones that I water. I have to reduce those proportionately to be able to meet that.
Okay, but how, I mean, 18 zones, you only water each zone for a minute and some change?
That's it.
Okay.
That's all I can do. I mean, if you come by my house and see it watering other than that, you're gonna be mad as hell. So, yeah, you betcha.
It seems like we should focus more on the usage rather than just the duration.
Probably right. And I agree with you.
I just don't know an easy way to word that in this particular.
If we were able to drive down the street and I see you watering, and I pull up on a computer and say, oh, okay, you're not watering that much, your aggregate is this, you've reduced this. That would be simple. We could make those allowances because after all, the intent is being taken care of, but we don't have that capability.
Anyways, the few things that have been said around here today, that's incredibly rude and uncalled for, but that's besides the point. I do have a couple of questions though. I know what my usage difference was from 2013, the first 3 months, to the first 3 months of this year. I know how much I've reduced my water. I reduced it almost 40%, 39% to be exact. I have 2 beautiful green lawns, front and back. There's 2 people that live in my house. If I take out my grass and reduce watering my grass, at some point you're going to tell me I still need to keep reducing my water. What am I supposed to do? Stop taking showers eventually? I mean, if there's no grass and landscape to water, what is the next option to reduce water? If you don't see my bill go down.
It's going to be very unfair to people. It's already reduced a lot.
No kidding.
This is very unfair to them.
It absolutely is.
It is, yes.
I think we all feel the same way.
But what's the answer to my question though? If I take out all of my grass and my landscape, and I have nothing left to water but regular household use water, what else am I supposed to do to reduce water?
Some people's going to have a hard time doing it. You know, people just let their lawns die, and like my neighbors, he's only one guy. I said, how are you going to reduce your water 28%? He said, I use under the minimum. Every month, you don't even use the minimum. How's he going to reduce it 28?
It's that type of, it's that example and your example, that in the event that somebody wanted to accuse you of using more water, we're gonna look at how much water you're using.
That's good.
And not whether you're watering your trees or your bushes or whatever. I don't want a police force of workers here in the district They're not trained, number one. Number two, that's not good for public service to come out and that's all we're doing. But we are going to have to do something to prevent a fine of $10,000 a day for not complying. But in your case, we can see what your water use is and whether or not you have cut it, if it comes to that, before we take any type of action.
Well, that's going to be my next thing. You're talking about, I know that I don't have a smart meter at my house. I've talked to the guy that comes and reads my water meter. I know there's not one there. But when you get to my house and you put it in, I don't live in a typical household. Most people, it was mentioned in the last meeting, most people get up in the morning, they take a shower, they start their day, yada yada. I don't live in that typical household. My husband doesn't go to work till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We don't start using water until midday. When he comes home from work at 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning some mornings, that's when he's taking a shower. Sometimes he starts a washing machine then. How is your smart meter going to tell the difference between me running my sprinklers at a normal time when normal people would run their sprinklers versus my husband taking a shower and starting the washing machine or the dishwasher? I certainly wouldn't go landscape my backyard right now. I mean, it already is, but if I moved in and there was no landscape there, I certainly wouldn't go spend $5,000 to put sod in. So why is the school allowed to keep their grass green? Why is that?
Well, why they the school's not regulated by us. In the high school, they have their own level.
Forget the high school, I got that. What about West Park? That was my specific question.
Why should they be able to grow grass there, because they have no grass there now? I think one of the concepts we want to look at is the fact that if everybody's letting their grass die at home, they should at least have a community place where they can go and find green grass and play on it. Just like you would have which is a community park, as mentioned by Mr. Weinstein, superintendent over at the schools. Schools are open from 7 to 3 p.m. Gates are closed. Once 3 p.m. rolls around, those gates open. Those parks are community parks. All of us can use those parks. All of us can use the grass. That's where the water should be used. In my mind, no matter what, you don't brown up a community park just to be making a point. You keep that community park green because that's, if you're going to have something community-wise, that's where it should be green, where everybody can use it.
Vincent, I've been here 25 years and I've always tried to manage my water consumption. And maybe approximately 7 years ago, I know the district asked all of us customers here in the service district to cut back wherever you can, because at the time the state was going through a drought. So I quit watering my front lawn. I pretty much got a desert landscape. I put a little small patch of grass in my backyard, and I could water that, but now I've let that die, so I'm not watering anything. I live at home by myself. I'm trying to watch my water. I don't wash my car at my house. I go to the local car wash. I was informed that the car wash uses far less water consumption than I would in my front yard, my driveway. That's what I was told. I don't use my dishwasher. I hand wash everything, trying to reduce my water consumption, because I was told dishwashers use a lot more water than regular hand washing. Now, I think my bill, I'm at the lowest. I think I'm paying $21.65 a month. If that's correct. My monthly bill. Now I'm doing everything I can. Now we're being asked to cut back any more. Well, I don't know what else I can do. I'm pretty much, doing what I can.
You've done enough. Well, Steve said, he said if you had a low water bill, they would look at that.
Well, I'm just concerned about that. And I don't want to, I want to take a shower once a week, for reasons obvious. So now with these new smart meters, now that I was informed that I can tell, if I'm flushing my toilet at 2 o'clock in the morning or if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't want to have any problems coming over, getting notices from the district here, using all this water during this time what's going on. I've got a washing machine at home too, so that's my concern, is